I would like everyone to take a second and think about how much power and energy would be required to eliminate an entire species off our Earth. You might think maybe a nuclear bomb or maybe a meteor striking Earth. But what if I told you that the mine pollution we have here around Athens is actually enough to kill an entire species of salmon if that had taken place in Alaska? As residents of Athens, we experience mine pollution every single day. You can go in your backyard and you can see what it has done to the ecosystems. You can go in your kitchen, turn on the water, and taste the heavy metals that are flowing within. So it is up to us to sympathize with those who experience these same problems and those who have the potential to experience them. I'm incredible to talk about mine pollution because I've been doing research on the topic and I've worked with mine pollution since my freshman year here at Ohio University. I'm here today to persuade you all to take action and sign a petition against Pebble Mine, a new mining institution that wants to take place in Bristol Bay, Alaska. Throughout this speech, I will be talking about the effects that mine pollution's had here in our local community and how, if they implement Pebble Mine, how it'll be kind of the same effects, but even to a grander scale. So let's get started with what mine pollution's done locally. According to the research journalist Nicole Brandon's 2012 article, Mining for Iron Oxides in Coal Mine Sludge, published in Earth magazine, over the past 200 years, billions of pounds of coal have been removed from the Appalachian hillsides. So to do this, the miners quite literally dig these long shafts into the hills of the Appalachian Mountains, and they remove all the coal. Once all the coal is extracted, the mining corporations lay off all the miners and then they move on to a new place. And so the miners leave and no one ever closes these mine shafts properly. So over time, water seeps into the mines and it mixes with the heavy metals and dissolves them, and then it seeps back into our environments, polluting our area. So the main problem here is the iron oxide. According to a 2018 article, Healing the Scars by Carl Francella, published in the Post, water, oxygen, and iron cause a chemical reaction that produces iron oxide. And iron oxide is toxic to us and organisms in our community because of how acidic it is. Iron oxide has a pH of around 4, which is about the same as orange juice. So imagine these ponds below me, and if you take all the water out and replace it with orange juice, and what that would do to the fish and the organisms that depend on this water. And like I said, it's not just the creeks or ponds that are around our community, it's your own fresh water that flows through your taps at Ohio University and in your apartments or houses. You drink this every day and you cook with it. So it's no wonder, because of this, that people have put in a lot of effort to trying to find out how to clean it up, because it affects our wildlife and our drinking water. So this has proven to be a daunting task because there's over 100,000 square miles of mine pollution. You can't exactly go out on a weekend with a bucket and expect to really cause change, but a local organization has found a solution to this. According to the local organization is called Rural Action, and according to a 2016 article, Appalachia's Orange Stain, published in the Post by Alex Mayer, you can create paint and pigment with iron oxide when it's dried and separated from water. So the purpose of all this is Rural Action wants to collect some of this iron oxide, purify it away from the water, and then create paint and sell that paint, and then use the profits of that paint to then fund the cleanup of further pollution, creating this loop until all the pollution in the area is all clean. And I've worked with Rural Action. I think this process is great. It's still in its infant stages, but it really shows promise. But what really irritates me and confuses me is why we have to do this process anyways. These big corporations came into our community, they mined all the coal, they sold it for profits, and they left us here in Athens with the lasting damages of mine pollution. So if you think about it, knowing that the corporations do this, what do you think us as a people in a society have learned from them doing this? Nothing, really. They still do it to this day. That was over 200 years that they did it here in Athens. And then they went around the country and around the world, and they've been doing it in countless other places. To this day, the government still grants permits for future mines to open up and create more pollution. And one of these mines is Pebble Mine in Bristol Bay, Alaska. So to learn more about Bristol Bay, I actually talked to a fellow Ohio University student here. Her name is Katie Schroeder. She is a senior in the ceramics BFA major. She has a minor in chemistry and a minor in art history. She is really interesting because she actually works with Rural Action and she's cleaned up this mine pollution here in Athens, and then she uses the iron oxide in her own projects. She uses glazes and paints when she works on her work. And it's also interesting with Katie is she is Native Alaskan. She has family that's grown up in Bristol Bay for generations. So you can see below me, you can see like where the mine would take place next to their big water systems, and you can see an environment that they're threatening to destroy. So I asked Katie about Pebble Mine, and this is what she had to say. There has been a copper mine called Pebble Mine that has been trying to be instated in Bristol Bay for many, many years. And this is even despite the fact that the salmon population is so important to the people up there that it would completely devastate it. A similar situation happened in a town in the northern part of Alaska where they did put in a mine. And the pollution from this mine completely dismantled the salmon population, fishing industry, and lives of many people. And below me, you can see some of Katie's work. This is actually a rough sketch she made that she's going to paint onto a plate or bowl with the iron oxide. And it really summarizes everything Katie had to say during her interview. She really does not like how these fish have to live in these circumstances that we cause with our mine pollution. But Katie is by no means the only person echoing this message. The Stop Pebble Mine is a nonprofit, and according to a 2021 economic report published by the McKinley Research Group, funded by the Stop Pebble Mine project, $2.2 billion in annual commercial fishery profit, $90 million in Alaska state taxes and licensing fees, 30,000 jobs in the fishing and tourism industry, and nearly 60% of the world's sockeye salmon is at risk to be lost if this mine is allowed to come into Bristol Bay and pollute their waters. So what can you do as someone in Ohio to stop a mine trying to go in Alaska? Well, the first major step is to go to stoppebblemine.now.org and sign the petition. So if you put in this URL into Google, you'll find this website, and you can quite literally click on this take action, which is exactly what I want you to do, and put in your name and your contact information, and it will sign you up for this petition. So you can add your name to a list of ever-growing people who are willing to stand up for Bristol Bay and say no to this mine coming into their community. So you might think, what else does a petition do? Well, it shows lawmakers an exact number of people who are willing to stand for Bristol Bay and say no to this mine. And it allows the Stop Pebble Mine organization to get the word out to more people of what Pebble Mine is trying to do to their economy and their ecosystems. So in conclusion, we've talked about what the mining organizations have done to us here in Athens. We've talked about how it hurts our ecosystem, it hurts our water. And now we've talked about this new mine they want to put in Bristol Bay and how it can take what's happened to us here in Athens and expedite to a whole new scale in Alaska, destroying entire economies and killing off entire species. So now I put the responsibility in your hands. It's time to take action. Us here in Athens, we live through mine pollution every single day. So we know what it's like to go through it, and no community should ever have to do what we do. So take action now. Go to stoppebblemine.now.org and sign the petition. Thank you.